Prego, prego, vai, vai. Ascolta, prima uno me l'ha portato indietro perché bisogna fare attenzione, se ti dicono che non funziona, può essere che l'abbiano messo a metà e c'è il muto, devi proprio metterlo on. Infatti quello di prima pensavo non funzionasse, poi ho notato che non hanno spinto abbastanza. Allora, come cavolo faccio qua?
Scusa, prima avevi ragione che rimanevano qua, io ero convinta a cambiassero sala, li ho mandati su, poi li ho fatti
Ah, non lo
riscendere.
so perché poi cambiano le cose, ho detto magari non ho l'ultimo aggiornamento. E là chi sono? Dove sono questi qua? Very well. First of all, very well. Good morning and welcome for this fourth day at Milano One Week. It's our sixth edition. This session is devoted fully to Sardinian wines. This is the second masterclass on Sardinian wines. Um, we will focus on Carignano, which is a noble variety that is present in along the coast in the southeastern part of our island of Sardinia. This wine is deeply rooted in the territory where it grows. This is a variety that gives its best expression in this area where the sand, the sea, and the sun get together to make this variety, and the grapes coming from this variety, an excellent wine. It's a DOC since 1977, so it's a DOC designation with a great longevity, let's say, long life. And this, as we said yesterday, during the conference on Sardinian wines, so we said that this wine speaks of its territory and of its multifaceted soul that are influenced by the sun, the sand, and the sea. Perhaps we can serve the wines, and in the meantime, we can open this wonderful conversation about this variety, which is also followed from London. And I'd like to say hello to our friends in London. Who will, hello, they will taste with us these 7 wines, these 7 different types of Carignano. And together with them, we will discover this angle of paradise, this corner of paradise in this beautiful island of Sardinia. Right next to me, I have the vice president of the Consortium for the Protection of Carignano DOC, and he is also the president of one of the historical wineries in this designation, Raffaele De Matteis. Please introduce us to the wonderful world of Carignano. Yes, good morning, everyone. So my name is Raffaele Matteis. I am the vice president of the Consorzio del Carignano. And I think that, first of all, I'd like to bring the greetings from our president, Antonio Lopilloni, who unfortunately cannot attend this tasting because he has other commitments. In any case, let's enter the world of Carignano. I love to say that Carignano has, you said, is a variety that has survived the attacks of Phylloxera at the end of the 1900s. Above all, because it's grown with the Franck de Pierre technique on sand, on sandy soils, and as the Latin alberello training, with the alberello training system. In this area is the best place. Actually, they tried to grow it in other parts of Sardinia, but they did not manage to get the same results that we have achieved in Sulcis, in our area. We have a disciplinary, we have a rule book. By the way, the consortium was founded in 2007 with 6 wineries. Our rule book is very strict. And Carignano, in order to be to have the DOC label, must be worked. So the grapes must be grown and then crushed, and the wine should be made in the area of origin, in the so-called area of origin, which is Sulcis. That goes from the little town of Carbonia down to the Nietiolar area. And there are quite a few communities in this area, and they are all facing the sea. They are all along the coast. Then, having said that, why did we create a consortium? Well, we created a consortium because the wineries understood that unity is strength, and you can only work well if you work together. And therefore, in 2011, we attended with the consortium a big a big event for a big project under the auspices of the European Community that involved Carignano made in different countries. And therefore, with that project, we started to present the Carignano on the wine market. And we tried to convey the idea that Sardinia, which is well known for Cannonau and Vermentino, also has other varieties which are also very interesting. And one is Carignano, and actually it's the third variety in order of importance for Carignano. What about the characteristics of the wine? Well, we will discuss them later, but let me add something. The consortium, the Carignano Consortium, promoted an association called the Strade del Vino, the Roads of Wine. But then, at a certain point, this project came to a halt. But now we have a new body, so new association with some of the wineries. We are trying to bring back to life, to rekindle this very important project, Le Strade del Carignano, the roads of Carignano. And we will organize quite a few events that we used to organize in the past. The most important project was to bring the visitors to the wineries, where they could taste the wines, and also in the evening there were also concerts, and that was a big success. And this made it possible for us to communicate about Carignano more and more across the world. So there's no better promotion than the voice of those who can taste the wine and therefore can communicate this wine. Let's continue with another guest, as the sommelier are pouring the wines in our glasses. So just to give some more information to our London friends, let me tell you the sequence of wines. So we start with Carignano Rosé, then Carignano Red, then Carignano Riserva, Bricco delle Piane Riserva Carignano, then Arruga Carignano Superiore, Gavino Carignano Superiore, Terrebruna, another Carignano Superiore, and then Fonte Rossa, that is a Carignano Passito. So that our friends in London are informed about the sequence, are informed about the wines we will be tasting. Now I'd like to leave the floor to Massimo Podda, who is the general manager of Cantina Sant'Adi, and of course he is a great expert in the field of Carignano, because this is the main variety that you focus on. Thank you all, and thank you for joining us to spend this hopefully interesting and intriguing tasting. And also I'd like to thank our friends in London who are following this tasting with these 7 wines. Before talking about the glasses, so these wines, even though Francesco has already given you some information, I would like to add to what the Vice President of Consortium said. As he said, we are in the western part of Sardinia. In this area there are 20 municipalities, so 20 communities, and the overall area is about 1,000 hectares. And we have about 100 wines that are grown with the Franck de Pied training system. Many are very close to the seaside, and so also there is a beautiful view from these vineyards. They are definitely beautiful vineyards. But also the vineyards that are more inland are in any case very close to the sea, no more than 15 kilometers away. So the influence of the sea and of the winds, mainly the maestrale wind, are extremely important for the plants, for the vines, because the climate is very special, and the grapes are always very healthy, and we can have definitely very good quality raw materials, good quality berries. So that's very important, and we always share this in the various countries where we present our Carignagno. I think that of all the wineries that are part of the consortium, we are present in about 40 countries with our wineries in the consortium. This variety is very important. It has a strong personality and a very interesting tannins, great strength, great longevity, but also with an extraordinary elegance that makes everyone fall in love with it. So let me close for the time being by saying that we can make you fall in love too with this wine. Oh, absolutely. We will fall in love with it. I see that already someone has taken some sips. The glasses are ready. And I have to say that I have seen some happy faces, some happy eyes, smiling eyes. And I have one last guest here at the table. Last but not least, Gianluca Osai, who is the general manager of the Cantina di Calaseta. That is a winery which is located on the Sant'Antioco Island. And therefore, this is truly a special place where there's lots of sun, sand, and a happy situation. So, greetings to our friends in London, first of all. Adding to what my colleagues said, I would like simply to go back to what Massimo said. Carignano is a variety that is powerful and elegant, but if you work these grapes in a certain way, you can have excellent results. Also, you can make very easy drinking wines, and actually we will start with a rosé wine. And in any case, I think we can say that one of the key words is versatility. So from the younger vineyards to the old ancient vineyards with the Franck de Pied training system, we even have 100-year-old vineyards, so you can imagine it's a very unique heritage that we have in our wineries. So starting from the youngest vineyards to the old, centuries-old vineyards, we can make products that have many different faces, many different souls, and that can be used in different situations, and that can be also suitable for many different international markets. Thank you, Gianluca. Thank you, Gianluca. So let's start with a small round of applause, first of all, for our speakers. And let's start without any further ado with our tasting. Oh, by the way, sorry. Can you please put the bottles here so that I can see the bottles and I can remember better all the different features, all the different elements of these wines. So we started off this journey in this wonderful DOC area with a rosé wine, a rosato. I don't know if you had already a chance to taste it. Uh, um, and first of all, if you, I'm sure that you understood that the nose is very floral and fruity and soft and round. But we can truly perceive the true soul of this wine because it has a quite significant alcohol content. It's not the typical rosé, easy rosé wine. Um, it can be paired with many things. So this, the structure, the texture of this rosé wine is quite powerful. Do you agree, Raffaele? Or Massimo, we can ask Massimo to comment. Oh, yes, I agree. Definitely. I would like to use a word that Gianluca Usai mentioned before. I think that for all of us as consumers and rosé wine lovers, in particular for the Carignano rosé, we can say that this wine is a very versatile wine, a crispy wine, easy drinking wine with good acidity. And certainly we have a significant presence of a quite good alcohol content. Well, that's normal because we describe the territory. So we said that we have plenty of sun, sand, and sea, and also the Arborello training system. And so the bunches are very close to the soil. And so that's the result. This is a rosé wine that is very interesting because and by the way, we have the dry rosé like this one, but also we have the sparkling rosé. This wine definitely is very interesting because it can be paired with some dishes that perhaps might not be suitable for the red Carignano, whereas the rosé can pair with some dishes that maybe are not very suitable with the Carignano red wine. In any case, the palate is very enjoyable. So the first wine is definitely interesting. And now let's move to the second glass. Let me first of all give you some suggestion. By the way, the rosé, well, please keep some rosé in the glass because I have seen that it has evolved already quite a lot since when it was first poured. So let's move to number 2, Nur, Carignano del Sulcis DOC 2021. This wine is absolutely, definitely young. And by the way, the nose is perhaps a bit angular initially, then it opens up with fruity notes. So we definitely perceive the pulp of the grapes. The tannins still need to be tamed. And therefore, this I mean, it's interesting to taste it maybe in 1 year or 2 years. It has a good aging potential. And this is a very lingering and ample wine. And also in this case, this wine is, let's say, easy, agile, easy to drink, and easy to pair as well. I mean, you can pair it with Sardinian dishes, but since we are in Lombardy at the moment, there are great recipes, great dishes, and it's. I mean, for instance, we use plenty of fats for our local recipes in Lombardy. And I think that this fresh, easy drinking wine can be paired very well with these Lombardy recipes, Lombardy dishes. What do you think, Raffaele? Nur is a representative of Sardus Pater. Oh, yes, I definitely agree with what you've said. Beautiful comment, and definitely I agree. Besides being the vice president of the consortium, I am also president of the board of administration of Salvus Pater Winery that was founded in 1949. And we started in the 2000s to experiment with wines that are very interesting. So Nur is a wine that comes from Pied de Franc, Franc de Pied vineyards. So this is the first red wine we are tasting. We have already had the rosé wine, and you have already understood with the rosé what Carignano is, but the red Carignano definitely is the truly expresses the soul of Carignano. I mean, it's not kept in oak or in barrel. This is just natural Carignano. It's just crushed, pressed, and put in stainless steel vats for fermentation. Then it's kept in concrete tanks, and then it's bottled. We say it's young, but it's kept in the bottle for 1 year before being put on the market. What can we notice? Well, the tannins initially may be a bit unpleasant, but then they soften little by little, and they get rounder and rounder as we go on. That's the initial sensation you get from Carignano, and then when you taste Carignano Superiore and Riserva, you will see the evolution with aging, and you will see the outcome. In any case, it's a very complete variety because you can drink it fresh, but also more aged. As we said, the soil is very sandy. The vineyards are very small plots, 2,000, 3,000 square meters, not even 1 hectare for the Franc de Pied vineyards. And these vineyards are on average just 70, 80-year-old. And in the vineyards, there might be vines that are even over 100-year-old, and the yields are very low, 40, 45 quintals per hectare, so 4.5 tons per hectare, so low yields. Traditionally, in the Sant'Antioco Island, where we make this wine, originally 99% of the vineyards was just Carignano, and actually there was nothing else. So that's the Carignano that was used with all dishes and drunk with all dishes, both meat and sea dishes. And I don't know if you're aware, but especially when there is the tuna season, we pair the tuna steaks with this wine. And of course, the temperature is a little lower, like 12 degrees, not 14, 16, and as usual. I think that there is a special feature in Carignano, as you've said, because Carignano has many multifaceted expressions. I mean, it can be drunk fresh, like and young, like in the Rosé Carignano, and also in the younger Carignano that we've just tasted. It has this feature because if you lower the temperature depending on the dishes you want to pair it with, you can pair it very well also with many dishes, and also it's good for the aperitivo, for the aperitif. And so you can pair it with fish or meat, and also juicy, more complex dishes pair very well. Very well. Let's move to the third wine. I believe that the nose of this third wine tells us immediately about the palate. So the nose is very warm and ample, and the tannins are definitely softer and more ample and more lush, more inviting. And this is also because the in the Riserva the tannins have been tamed, because 2 years of aging are important for this kind of wine, because they make the palate particularly elegant. But besides, well, you have this immediate freshness once you take a sip at the beginning. So you almost have, I mean, the first part is mint or very ample notes. And this is because of this wonderful sapid vein that supports the palate with a great harmony. The Cantina Calaseta with Bricco delle Piane. This is a Carignano del Sulcis Riserva. It's lingering, ample, and particularly fresh. Gianluca, what do you think? Thank you, Francesco. You have said almost everything about this wine. We are tasting 2020 of Bricco delle Piane Riserva. And the enological goal in this wine is to keep the agility of the palate, and we want it to be easy drinking. As Francesco said, on the nose, we have great integrity and freshness of the fruit, and also complexity, because we have various nuances, various notes of the Mediterranean brush, mint, sage, that then we also find on the palate. To make this wine, they use old wines that are in the area of Bricco delle Piane, that are Franc de Pied, and that are trained with the Alberello system. And this is a very small area in the municipality of Calasetta. They macerate it for 15, 18 days, with not more than this, because we don't want to extract too much. We want to have good elegance and freshness. And then the wine is put in barrique, and the second passage, tonneau and barrique barrels. So the idea is to have a well-balanced oak or well-balanced notes. And the goal, again, as I said, is easy drinking, good balance, and respect for the raw material. So for the top quality grapes that we can harvest from these old vineyards. Thank you, Gianluca. And I would like to refer back to what you said for Bricco delle Piane. And by the way, I also tasted the other wines. The use of oak in the area of Carignano makes this wine very elegant and delicate. And in some Carignano wines, the oaky notes are so delicate that we are almost imperceptible sometimes. And I think that this is a very important feature in this wine, because, of course, this is you say that this is the wine of woodworkers in the area, but I think this is a very elegant wine nowadays. So from Bricco delle Piane 2020, let's move over to Arruga, Carignano del Sulcis Superiore 2020. Also in this case, we have a nose which is definitely full, powerful. You might say that is
very direct and very outspoken, so to speak. But then on the palate, it's very delicate. Freshness and sapidity create a great round balance in this wine.
Abbiamo una bella nota fruttata
We have
all'interno
nice
del frutto
fruity notes,
rosso, non
red
eccessivamente
fruit
maturo,
notes,
anche in
not too
questo caso,
ripen.
nonostante qui vediamo
And
anche la
yeah,
proporzione
we also
di crescita
see
e l'evoluzione
the
del colore del
evolution
vino
that
e non
this
vediamo
wine
da
can
questo
have.
tanino che
And we can tell
nonostante
this
ci
from the
siano vissuti tre
tannins.
anni
So despite
in Italia
it
in
was
questo viaggio
bottled
lungo
three
nel tempo, perché 3 anni
years ago.
sono un bel
Well,
viaggio, sono
three
quasi
years
meno
is
di un
is
viaggio
quite long.
di quel grande viaggio, sentiamo ancora
But we
questo
still
tannino
perceive
da
the
tomate,
tannins that still need to be
questa
tamed. So we
intensa
still have
in
this
bocca. Anche in questo caso qua
full-bodiedness
le note
on the
sono
mouth.
davvero
And the
caratteristiche.
notes are
Il
very
sole
particular. Here, the sun
della vendemmia
of
2020
the
si sa
harvest
che la vite è stata
2020 is
un'annata
particularly evident.
particolarmente
2020
calda
was a
e
particularly
con
warm year
oltretutto una
and
densità
with
di umidità
um,
abbastanza alternata. Questo ha
also
portato
high
naturalmente ai
humidity.
vini
And therefore,
di forte
in the
carattere.
end, these
Signori,
wines have a
qua
strong
quando
personality.
la
And
delicatezza
so,
del sosto
despite the
abbiamo
palate is
comunque
delicate,
15
we
gradi
have 15
in
degrees,
bocca e
so
questo
15 degrees
naturalmente
alcohol on
denotano
the
e
palate.
fanno
And
ricordare appunto quella
therefore,
vendemmia
this makes us
molto
think
molto
of that
calda,
very
non
warm
particolarmente secche,
harvest
ma molto
that
calde,
was not
con
dry. I mean,
giornate
it
di
rained,
esposizione
but
solare abbastanza ampie.
the temperatures were
Qui
very high.
invece devo dire
And
che
I have to say
ovviamente è sempre una
also
questione di
that,
pareri personali, quindi
of
chi non
course,
lo
there's no
gioia
counting for taste because,
sfortunatamente non
I mean, it's my
sarà. Ci
personal
sono dei
opinion
vini
because
che possono
wine is
essere
joy and
non
you
troppo
may like
speziati, ma
or
chi deve
dislike a
dettare
wine,
sempre
but
il nostro
I mean, what
piacimento
should
davanti
dictate
ad un vino è
our
il
pleasure or
palato.
not
Quindi gli
is the
abbinamenti
palate.
sono assolutamente una delle
And
cose più
because that's
personali
important
del
for the
mondo.
pairings.
È un po' come
Even though the
l'amore, è un po'
pairings are
come il
very
matrimonio, non mettere mai
personal,
in
is
discussione quello
like with
che
your
è appunto
wedding with your
il
partner. I
conto
mean,
fra
you
te
always
e il palato.
have
In questo caso
to
invece
have the
questa
perfect balance,
elegante
and so you
rudezza
have to have a
di
perfect
questo
balance
vino
also in
ci permette
wines.
anche
So
abbinamenti
with this
molto
wine,
più
we can have
corposi,
very
molto più
interesting
intensi.
pairings,
E
also
allora qui
with more
sì,
complex
piscina
dishes.
sarda,
For instance,
soprattutto la piscina
Sardinian
sarda alla
recipes,
brace, ha
Sardinian
sicuramente un
grilled
grandissimo
meat
impatto con questo vino e
pairs
trova le
beautifully
sue
with this
cose
wine.
decisamente
And
da
definitely
impegno a sostenere grandi abbinamenti con
this
carni
wine lends
o con
itself very well
alla
to be
brace
paired
o
with
cotture
grilled meat
molto lunghe.
or
Torno ovviamente da Raffaele perché Aruga sul vino del 2020 è un vino di
meats
Sardospater.
that have been cooked for a long time. This is a wine from Sardospater, right? Yes? So Gianluca. Oh, okay. What can I add to what you've just said? Definitely, you mentioned all the nuances and all the notes that I also find in this wine. What I'd like you to notice is that there is a common denominator that you always find from the young Carignano to the Superiore Carignano. Because in all the wineries, in all the Carignano, not just in my winery, sapidity is a common denominator. So this sapidity is very pronounced, yet very pleasant. And therefore, um, both the young and the Riserva and the Superiore are all equally enjoyable. And in the Superiore, so we have the use of oak, or even third passage barrels. We start to have some spicy notes little by little, and also some highlights of licorice in the finish. So this tells you a lot about the liveliness and the versatility of Carignano. This is a wine from 2020, but I believe this has a great aging potential. I think it can age very well over time. We started making this wine in 2004. Then in 2006 and 12, the common denominator is always the same. Of course, it is not affected by the cork because it can affect it. But of course, these are wines that have a great aging potential. And so these wines are great from the first year of life until the many years that they can age. So I agree definitely with your comments about this wine. We can move to the next one. Thank you, Raffaele. And let's move over to the fifth glass. Of course, this is a Carignano del Sulcis again. Again, it's a superiore wine, but we are 1 year back in time. And also, I have to repeat myself because so far we tasted Brico delle Piane, then the Carignano Sulcis di Mesa Superiore. So far we tasted 4 glasses that are very talkative, let me say. So very straightforward. So the palate and the nose are always well balanced, and they speak very clearly without adding too much on our part. And so we have again an ample nose where the red fruit starts to be more ripened here, so more intense and more round on the nose. And once again, we don't have notes that are, I mean, we have pleasant notes of lingering notes. It's a sapid, round, and a very fine and interesting sweetness, because we can definitely chew and bite this fruit. We can have this tactile sensation on the palate that makes you want to drink more, because it's a very ample wine. And actually, in this glass, like in the previous glasses, they use they grow the grapes in the traditional way, and this is also because of the rule book, because the Superiore can only be grown with the Alberello training system, and therefore that's that's what the Superiore wine is like. And it has power on the nose and on the palate, which is a sort of bear, a brown bear, allow me this metaphor. That is to say, there's these heavy shoulders, this intensity of a strong wild animal that somehow immediately makes you think of a sweet animal at the same time. At least this is my understanding of this palate. Superiore 2019, the winery is Mesa. Can you give some information about Mesa, Gianluca? Yes, I have this difficult duty of presenting the 2 wines from my friends from Cantina Mesa who cannot attend this tasting, unfortunately. So we are tasting the second Carignano Sulcis Stock Superiore. Francesco has already told you that from the Superiore, so to make Superiore, you have to use the ancient vineyards with the Alberello training system to ensure quality and low yields. Low yields are a consequence already of this training system. And now we are tasting 2019. we have, for this wine, we have ripened fruits, but I also perceived some balsamic notes and also some fresh notes of
Concordo e ti ringrazio.
cherries. And there is a common denominator because, we started from the rosé and then we moved, so with this young wine. So it's fresher. And the cherry notes are one of the key characteristics. So, so cherry is a typical note of young Carignano. And in this case, we also have preserved cherries. This winery is keeping this wine for 12 months in 500-liter tonneau barrels. So that's very interesting, the way they use these barrels. Because depending on the wine you want to make, you have to choose a different type of barrel and a different time that the wine spends in the barrels. According to me, the key word here is elegance. We don't make it, but I think it has a great aging potential and elegance. Definitely. Thank you, Gianluca.
Arrivati
Very
al
well.
sesto
Now
vino,
we are with our
bisogna fare
sixth
un
glass.
passo in
And
più
now we have to
sotto
make a
il punto
step
di vista.
backward.
Bisognerebbe il
And
massimo
we
rispetto
have to
nel
pay great
raccontare
respect
quello
to
che è
the story
stato
behind
nel
this wine.
1984.
Because in
Ci sono giornalisti che mi
1984,
danno questo suggerimento a
and
casa,
I asked them to confirm the year,
il filo dimensionale della memoria
1984.
è abbastanza corta.
I couldn't remember, but
Sono
I
10
asked them to confirm.
scorgimento
In any
appena
case, it's
in corso.
1984.
1984 invece realmente,
So in 1984,
che un po' nella memoria di tutti gli appassionati del vino e soprattutto
as
tutti
all
i
wine lovers know, and Sardinian lovers know, Terre Brune Carignano del Tulci Superiore
si crea, mettiamola così, uno spartiacque
created a
perché la
sort of
Sardegna
watershed
inizia a
because on that year Sardinia starts to grow in terms of quality and in terms of the idea of making wines
non
that are not
internazionali dal punto di vista dell'utilizzo
international
delle uve internazionali,
in
ma che
terms of
sono
using international
internazionali e
varieties,
si
but that are
possono
international,
presentare ad un
meaning that
pubblico
they can
selettivo
be
appassionato.
appreciated
E
by
vi posso
international
garantire
wine
che
lovers. And I can
45,
assure
no, sì,
that
46 anni fa,
46 years
insomma,
ago,
il mondo del vino in Sardegna era
the wine
davvero diverso
world,
da
the
quello
wine
che
sector in
è
Sardinia was
oggi,
very different
anzi
from what it is
completamente
today. It
diverso.
was
Spesso
totally
e
different.
volentieri i nostri
And
grandi vini e le
oftentimes,
nostre
our
grandi
great
uve
varieties,
dicono sempre
and
che
I
origini
say our
sacre,
because I am of Sardinian origin, in case you don't know.
venivano utilizzate
So
per
our
fare
varieties and
certamente
our grapes were used to do something else, certainly not to make these kind of wines. So these top quality fine wines to be exported, and that could represent Sardinia outside Italy. So this is a Carignano del Sulcis Superiore Terre Brune from the Sant'Adi winery. And if you had the honor to sniff this wine, I'm sure you perceived all the journey in this the territory that I described at the beginning, that is to say, the intensity of sun and the very important and powerful presence of the sea. So this great sapidity we have in the glass. And then, of course, we have here the hand of a great enologist who unfortunately passed away, but who left a great tradition that perhaps Massimo, you can tell more about him. And of course, this elegance is sheer elegance. Terre Brune definitely can be defined as the Carignano dressed with a tuxedo for an evening party. So after every sip you want to have more. This is a 2019. So 2019.
In bocca possiamo
On the
parlare con
palate,
per ore, 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 lui rimane ben aggrappato,
this wine
sia
has a
con il
great grip
frutto, sia con
with
queste piacevoli,
with a pleasant
questi
fruit
piacevoli
and
sottostati, sapidità,
pleasant
questa venia
interaction between
importante di
the
una vita
sapidity
sapida
of the sand of the
di
sea
grande intensità
that
e
is very
poi abbiamo
intense, and
questi
also we have
queste,
these
queste
small
chiacchiere,
kind of
questi
highlights
scambi
um,
di personalità con questa bella
from
morbidezza del
its
frutto
soft
e da
personality
in
with
questo
these
caso
round fruit.
continua a
The
lavorare.
tannins
Non
are
è
still very strong,
eccessivo, ma
but it's never
sente che ha ancora
excessive.
voglia di
But you can
grattugiare e continuare
still
a
perceive
correre.
its grip.
Ovviamente 2019,
Of course,
4 anni,
2019, 4 years.
ha questa intensità
That's a wine with great
piena,
intensity,
totale, ma che non è
full-bodied,
ancora nella sua
but it's
maturità,
not
non ha
yet
ancora
in
raggiunto
its
la sua età
stage of
piena.
maturity.
Poi,
So,
secondo me, quando si compra
of
una
course, when you
bottiglia
buy a bottle,
rimarrà molto male
of course, you
dentro
want to drink it, but
chi verrà dopo di me
then
comprerà delle altre bottiglie e magari se ha voglia
we
di
might buy some
conservarle,
bottles
ma in
also
realtà
and
una
store
margherita
them, but you know,
in questo caso
you
qua
always
però,
want to
e
drink
chiudo
them.
passando poi la parola a
And
Massimo che ci
now I leave the floor
consiglia
to
sulla
Massimo to say
azienda,
something more about the
chiudo che
winery, but I'd like to just
anche
add
qui cerco di
that
disegnare l'utilizzo di questo vino
as
e
far as
lo dico
pairings are
con una
concerned,
vecchia pubblicità che vedeva George
we
Clooney
can think of an old
suonava
commercial with
nella
George
cisterna,
Clooney, who was ringing the doorbell, and he had a bottle. Probably our friends in London remember this commercial, this TV ad, and he said, "No, that brand, no party." So in this case, I would give you my version of that TV ad because this is a wine that really solves all problems. Because it's a wine you should always keep in the fridge, because on any occasion you can open it and you will always be very successful with friends. And so the Carignano definitely helps us very much because it can be drunk in various situations. It can be paired with grilled fish. We can have it with meat or with Sardinian cheeses, but also with blue cheeses from Piedmont or Lombardy. That would be an excellent pairing. What do you think, Massimo? Well, first of all, thank you for this extraordinary presentation of Terre Brune, which is evidently our flagship wine at the winery where I work. It's also very important for the history and for its role in the Sardinian winemaking business. You mentioned a very important technologist. He is looking at us from the clouds, from the sky, but he has been very important. He was very important for the renaissance of Italian wine and also for Sardinian wine. I'm talking about Giacomo Takis. Giacomo Takis is the father of this wine. We all know him, both in Italy and internationally, and I'm super sure that our friends in London agree with what I'm saying. He's the father of 36 Italian wines who are present across the world. So he started working with us in 1940 with the Terre Brune project. And as Francesco said, the first year dates back to 1948. Sorry, 84, sorry, and it was put on the market in 89. And we still make it the same way. Every year it's put on the market after 4 years after the harvest. And this is because that's our philosophy. So apart from Terre Brune, if we talk about Carignano Superiore, so despite our rules are very stringent and strict, since we live in an area of Sardinia which is a very harsh territory, very difficult to 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 grow. Yields are low by nature because our territory is very particular, as I've said. We have this Arberello training system, which is compulsory for the superiore. We have sandy soils also. We have a variety. We said that this variety that has this sapidity and high alcohol content and tannins. And as you said earlier, so you said that young Carignano is an easy drinking wine, true, but the tannins are always very strong and powerful. But that's a good news because this wine can have a great aging potential thanks to these vibrant tannins. And therefore, from the commercial standpoint, I can say that you should buy not just one bottle, you have to have at least three, not just one, because the first one you can drink it young. So you can check whether it's good young, and certainly it is. Then you can taste the second one after 2 3 years to see the evolution of tannins, and the third one can be drunk maybe later, and it can always come in very handy.
Grazie Massimo,
Thank you,
assolutamente sì.
Massimo.
E
Absolutely,
effettivamente
I
quando
agree.
qualcuno
And someone said even 10 years could be great, but even 6 years.
abbiamo assaggiato veramente
Certainly,
di
we
grandi
tasted
qualità di vino.
great
Adesso
wines.
prima di
Now,
arrivare al nostro
before our
rappresentante di
glass number
Carignano,
7,
possiamo
our Carignano
tornare,
number
se ci
7,
va ancora nel cuore,
why don't we
al
go back
primo
to the
classe,
first one, the
ovvero
first
al
glass,
rosato,
to the
che
Rosé
mi è
Carignano?
insomma,
If
andato
you
a
still have
perdere
some.
quel paio di gradi di temperatura,
So now it
forse anche
is a
tre. E
bit
allora
warmer,
sentiamo
maybe,
anche in questo caso quella bella intensità del
and this
Carignano,
allows
in un
us to
vino
perceive
ancora
the
più,
great intensity of
secondo me, più
Carignano,
acido,
and
nonostante
it
la
becomes even more
temperatura sia più bassa.
agile despite the temperature is slightly higher.
Nel sorso non abbiamo perso la sapidità,
And
abbiamo
on the
aumentato quella
palate,
textura,
we
quello
have
che invece è
great
il frutto, e
sapidity
abbiamo
and great
sicuramente
fruit.
aperto ancora di
And
più
we have
il naso.
a more
Devo
ample
dire che
nose
insomma
as well.
un
So
rosato
definitely
fatto
this
davvero
rosato, this
molto molto
rosé
bene,
wine is very
dove
well
tra
made.
l'altro il
And
vino si
by the
sente
way, you
e
can
anche in maniera
perceive
abbastanza
the
intensa.
variety very well,
Volevo
very
così,
intensely.
abbiamo anche preparato il palato con un attimino di frutto e di fiore
So our
per
palate is
arrivare
now
alla
ready
seconda.
to
La
enjoy this
chiusura in
glass number
realtà
7, because
di un
the
discorso di
end
degustazione che
of
magari
a
in qualche
tasting
modo
such
con
as this
l'immaginazione
one,
abbiamo fatto anche a
and
tavola, no? E allora a tavola dobbiamo
so
arrivare
we
al
also thought of
dessert
some
o al
pairings.
dessert
So
alla
let's
semplice e
think of the
quindi
dessert now. Um,
con delle pietanze
so
sabbie che
let's
possono essere
think
formaggi
of,
che
or
possono
maybe also
essere
cheeses or
magari anche
desserts or
delle altre lavorazioni del latte, ma sempre con
other
diciamo
milk
una
desserts,
buona sapidità,
milk-based
forse
desserts.
alla francese,
For
non
instance,
bevere
a
il
French
dolce,
dessert.
oppure semplicemente una chiusura dolce un po'
Or
all'italiana,
maybe
quindi
we can have an
con un buon
Italian
dolce per esempio
dessert,
locale,
maybe a
siamo in
local
Lombardia, quindi
dessert. Now
panettone,
we are in
e quindi
Lombardia and we might
l'intesa
have a
fruttività del
slice of
panettone che
panettone
va
that is a
invece ad
very buttery
incontrare
cake,
la
and
parte più
that
rotonda data da
it
questa
blends very well
nota
with the
di miele,
roundness of this
fra l'altro insomma
honey
direi
note,
anche un millefiori, visto e considerato che
maybe
abbiamo questa
a
ricetta
millefiori
paratutata,
honey
ma anche
that
questo
is very
naso
fruity
intenso
and that has
legato
also this
appunto
intense
ai fiori,
nose
e quindi a
with
questa
plenty of
armonia
flowers and
a questo
therefore with
gioco
plenty of
quasi
harmony,
animato, no? Una
um,
bella
with
partita a
this great
tennis tra
interaction between the flowers.
un
It's
grande
like a
Djokovic
tennis
e il
match
nostro
between
Sinner, no? Quindi
Djokovic
una
and
parte
Sinner.
giovane e
So
una
a
parte
young
ormai già
player and a
attestato
player
campione,
who
ma che si
is already a
rilasciano
great
e quindi
champion
abbiamo
that
questo bel
interact.
sorso
And so
che
we have
non è
this nice
mai
sip that is never
dolce,
too
quindi
sweet.
faticoso, no?
And
Ma sentiamo il frutto e
it is always very enjoyable. And so we have sapidity, acidity, and a very ample palate, which is always very interesting and never boring. And actually, it
nuovi soci.
makes us want to have more.
Il naso, che come
And
avete
the
sentito
nose,
nell'arco di pochissimi minuti, non solo è
in the matter of a
cresciuto,
few
ma ha
minutes,
variato.
it
E
has
adesso non so
changed
perché,
quite a lot.
potrebbe essere magari che ho il panettone che ho assaggiato ieri
Maybe it's because I tasted the panettone
ad una
yesterday
cena,
night
però sento
at a dinner,
questo
but I
terzo
definitely perceive
aroma che
this
l'uva
nice
passa
note
non
of butter
eccessivamente,
and raisin, so dried
intensa l'alcol. Quindi
raisin.
appunto
Um,
con questo bel
so I have
tocco
this nice
quasi a
interaction
chiudere poi con questa
um,
profondità della vaniglia
with a very
che dà
round finish
la
with
direzione
vanilla notes,
dell'ultimo sorso e accompagna
and
la
that
bocca mentre
accompanies the
magari
palate
assaggiamo anche
as
qualcos'altro.
maybe we are
Però
tasting something
direi di
else.
chiudere
In any case,
con
I
un
think
pensiero
we
a quello che
can
secondo me è
close with
l'ordinamento
a
in
comment on,
assoluto
according to me, the best pairing,
più intenso dal
the
punto di
most
vista
intense pairing,
dell'interazione con la nostra
the
gioia,
best
sempre ricordando il
interaction
discorso
and
che un
joyful
sorso
pairing.
di vino e un buon
Because a
piatto
sip
sono
of
gioia pura
wine
e
are
in
pure
questo caso
joy.
qua
And so in
voi
this
immaginate,
case, you
se
can
non l'avete mai
imagine, if
assaggiato,
you have never
cercate di
tasted
giocare
it,
con
try to use
la
your
grande immaginazione,
imagination
immaginate quindi
and
un bel
imagine
pecorino
a nice
sattico
pecorino
intenso con una
cheese,
stagionatura che magari va oltre i
savory,
48
maybe
mesi.
48
Stiamo
months.
parlando veramente di una vetta di
So
godimento
that would be
incredibile
a
perché
climax of
naturalmente
enjoyment
l'intensità, la
because the
castagna
intensity, we
e
have chestnut notes,
quelle
we have
belle note di
beautiful
tabacco intenso
notes
che
of
già col tipo di
intense
formaggio, quella
tobacco that
stagionatura
come
così
from the
lunga
pecorino
che
cheese with
oltretutto
this
restituisce una
long ripening
cremosità
period,
intensa e
and
piccante
that is
poi
creamy and piquant at the
impaginatevela
same time. So
domata da
think of
questo
it
sorso, da
and think
quest'ultimo
when it
sorso
can be
che è
tamed
il
by
Carignano del Sud,
this
il
last sip
passito
of Carignano del Sucis
forte
Passito,
rosso, chiedo scusa, di
Forte
Cantina
Rosso
Mesa.
from
Ecco,
Cantina
questi
Mesa.
secondo me sono
So
i due
these are
abbinamenti
the
necessari,
best
fondamentali
pairings
perché si voglia dare a
to
tutto
make the
questo quel
most of
importante
all
nota
these
eroica. Dobbiamo
wines. So
coccolarci
this
in
is a
questo caso
great
qua con questi
treat, a
secchielini
great
possiamo farlo
cuddle.
con
These
oltretutto
wines
una
can cuddle
bellissima
ourselves.
e
Can
preziosa
cuddle
questo
us
Carignano Passito
with this
che
pairing. And
davvero
this Carignano Passito,
ha
this
portato e
last
continua a
wine,
portare nel
is
calice la sua passione per farsi
the
voler bene,
expression of
mettiamola così.
great passion.
Grazie, ovviamente
Many
è
thanks.
un applauso
Thank
che
you. Oh, well,
dedichiamo
that's a
a
spontaneous
produttori
round
di
of applause that
Carignano
we
e
devote to the
a questa
Carignano
masterclass
winemakers and to
ci ha
this
raccontato con
masterclass
grande
about
titolo.
this great
Per gli amici in
variety. For our
Londra, ma
friends in
anche
London, but
per gli
also
amici
for
internazionali
our
soprattutto qua
international friends
con
who are
noi in
here
questo momento. Naturalmente
now
vi
in Milan,
invito, ve lo
of
faccio
course,
da
I
parte di
invite you
Raffaele Di
on
Matteis,
the
di
part
Massimo
on
Podda
behalf of
e di
Raffaele De
Gianluca
Matteis,
Usai, ma
Massimo
anche
Podda,
di
and
tutte le
Gianluca
altre
Usai, but
cantine
also
che
all the
consono nel
other
Carignano, è
wineries and
quello
the
di
Consorzio del
andare a
Carignano, is
trovarli
to
in
go
cantina.
visit them
Loro
at
sicuramente,
their
questo ve lo posso
wineries.
garantire
I can assure you, uh,
insomma, esperienza personale,
because
sono
I had the
accoglienti, vi
chance to
faranno
go there,
assaggiare
they will welcome you, they
i
will
loro
have you
vini, ma
taste
anche una
their
parte
wines,
del grande
but
cuore, la grande
and you will have
accoglienza
a
che
chance to
l'isola è
enjoy the great
assolutamente in
hospitality and the
grado di
welcoming attitude of people
offrire
in
ai suoi
Sardinia.
ospiti. Grazie a tutti
So
voi, grazie per aver
thank you all,
partecipato,
thank
ci
you for
vediamo in
your
Sardegna.
participation, and
Grazie.
see you in Sardinia.